Welcome back to the Informed Pregnancy and Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Elliot Berlin, with co-host, the Queen of Steam, Nicole Sessions, and our guests, Kat Von D and Raphael Reyes. So, Kat, you referred to Raphael as your mind's twin. Yeah. I think from part one, we can tell there's so many parallels, so many very interesting parallels. But, you're in the public light. You said you have set tattoos of previous partners. What feels different on this one? How do you know that this one is different?
Look, he's giving me an eye. I better answer this one right. Well, you know what? I think.
Good question, Dr. Berlin.
Thank you very much. He doesn't want to turn this into just kidding.
No, you know what? It's. I know that the answer is really easy, actually. The biggest difference is me. It's not really that, obviously there's so many amazing qualities of Raphael, but I think I just did a lot of work on myself mentally and over the years. And, I want to be the best girlfriend, the best wife. I want to be the best partner, and that doesn't come from other people doing the work for you, And so I think that was the first thing that kind of I knew that it was the right time. Like I took a pretty intentional celibate moment prior to us dating, and worked on myself, and then it was really so it's quite unexplainable. I mean, kindred spirits does feel cheesy in a way, but it is how I feel. I mean, I think we complement each other in the best ways. One of my closest friends, she put it the best way. She said that Raphael is like the girl version of me, because I've always been quite masculine, and I love my masculinity, and he's like the opposite. And so we're like our perfect yin yang.
So my observation is that you're very feminine.
Really?
With a strong masculine side that you don't run away from, that you embrace and you jump right into that.
Yeah.
And I think Raphael might be the opposite, like very masculine with a very also prominent feminine side that you don't run away from.
Nope. Yeah.
That you embrace. And I sort of, it's kind of interesting that you might be bonding on both levels.
Yeah.
Right? But also individually, if that assessment feels right to you, individually, how over the years have you identified yourselves in terms of gender and sexuality, sort of having both sides of the coin?
Yeah. How do we identify ourselves?
Individually, before you met.
Like in what way?
Like your own gender identity over the years, because you said you have a strong masculine side and a strong feminine side. Like, what do you feel? And I mean, now the world is much more open in terms of there's.
I mean, I mean, obviously, I still, identify female, and I love being a woman, but I also love my masculinity. I think that I don't know. Everything from my voice being super deep to to having wide shoulders and being 5'9" and but it's more the attitude, It's like I don't know. My idea of feminism is even a lot different than I think most feminists too. I don't like making my gender an issue. When it comes to my work, I want you to like it because of the work, not because I have boobs, or like that. I don't want that to make it more special somehow, So I don't know.
I mean, nobody likes.
I don't know if that answers the question.
A little bit. I do a lot of work, and I don't think anybody likes it, even though I have boobs. It's just
no, but you know what I mean. Like when I first started tattooing, it was like, oh, you're pretty good for a girl. It was never like, hey, you're really good. It's like, so when I would do interviews for tattoo magazines, and when they would feature it, like I would be like, cool, here's photos. Just don't put a photo of me in it, because I just didn't want it to deter from, it's like
the work itself.
Yeah, just let it, because back then I think too it was an issue. Yeah. Now there's so many amazing female tattooers, so it's different. But
even so, growing up as a teenager, did you recognize then that you have these masculine qualities?
Oh yeah, like I was like tomboy all the way. Like you
embrace them.
Yeah.
Did that attract you to more feminine qualities, or
in guys?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been attracted to the mind. Like I've been allergic to jocks. Like I'm just not into even overly masculine men. Like I love men and people in general who are super in touch with feelings and are sensitive. I love sensitivity. I love when dudes can't cry, I just can't relate. Yeah. I'm okay, and I'm not saying it has to cry all the time, but I want, if you have feelings, it's okay, and I love that. And I mean, that's when I listen to my favorite bands and stuff, it's very much from the heart. It's not I'm not listening to songs about like hooking up with chicks and whatever the hell. Like, I just can't relate to that, So yeah, I think I've
softer. You're attracted to a softer man.
Yeah, not physically. It's like in here,
It's what's inside.
Yeah, that's what I can get attracted to. So, like, even if you look at past relationships there and you put them in the same room that don't look alike, I don't have a type. It's just the emotional. Like, I like. You
don't have an external type. It's deeper than that for you.
Yeah. And with my husband, it's crazy because I feel like he's all the things I do actually like into one package, which is pretty odd. Like, I feel like you can have your cake.
Has it over time crossed over to women as well?
No, I'm not that interested
in women. So you do have a type.
yeah, I guess so. But no, what I mean is like, like with Raphael, there's like, I'm attracted to all aspects of him, not just his mind, which is awesome. I think, and
likewise.
Thank you, baby.
So, Raphael, I would say the same thing to you. I mean,
everything she said.
Everything's the same about each other. But do you feel like you have a feminine side?
I do. I have a very strong feminine side, and it gets me in a lot of trouble because I celebrate it, and from the world that I come from, the gang world is very masculine.
Yeah,
a lot of machismo,
super homophobic.
Super homophobic, and again, I'm about empowerment, and self-empowerment, and
so you can wear lipstick and have nails.
I mean, I come from the music that I grew up listening to, like David Bowie and like a lot of different artists would wear makeup and just be greater than life. And I come from that, that's what inspires me. That's the music that I make. But I'm also very straight, but it's just more, I'm a creative, and
it transcends sexuality too.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly. Thank you. And it does get me in trouble. And I mean, even to this day, I have people that I grew up with that I've struggled with my entire life, which I mean, I live in LA now, it doesn't matter, but the rumor mill and like Instagram, social media, all that stuff, people can get a hold of you, and they'll say things, that are,
derogatory and stuff.
Just mean.
But it just comes from a place of ignorance and jealousy most of the time.
Yeah.
But I don't
know. It doesn't stop me, I am, like I said, I embrace it. It's definitely part of my charm.
Yeah.
I think so.
But I remember when we got married, Raphael and I got married by ourselves. We just went to the courthouse and didn't tell anybody or anything. And we ended up posting a photo of our hands with our rings. And it was funny because like so many people were confused and thought that your hands were my hands because he usually has like really long nails and I have like the most grubbiest hands like that are like either with dirt or ink or paint or something. I'm always like, I've always had like boyish, rugged hands, and then you just have the most beautiful.
Now they're not as beautiful today. It's just I took them off because I wanted to start giving my wife massages and just like
because he usually has like acrylics that are really long, like Nosferatu style.
I usually have really long stiletto nails,
which really confuses people. And I tripped out on how confusing like that more than lipstick. I felt like. People were like, why is his nails so... Yeah.
So lipstick is okay, but like nails cross the line.
Yeah. So weird.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different line.
Yeah.
But that's part of it, right? That's part of the conversation. And I love things that like break stereotypes. Mm-hmm. But I love women. I love my mother. I love my sisters. I love my daughter. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being feminine, Yeah.
In looking for partners, did you also find yourself attracted to more women with more masculine qualities?
I think same with my wife. If you line up all the people that I've dated, none of them looked the same. It was always just like a connection. But with my wife, it was really different. That my wife is the first person that I've ever said I love you to. So I've been in long relationships. There was a relationship long time ago that I was in for like 6 years, and I never said I love you. So she's the first person that I've ever said I love you to. And again, that comes from a lot of trauma. So I've had a lot of trauma. So she did something to me. She's part of, she's healing
spells.
Yeah, there's a lot of walls that that I've taken down, and it's been easy with her. It's been really easy. So
you guys kind of feel like to me like yin and yang.
Yeah.
But cut through the diagonal, like
love that.
half yin and half yang, each of you.
Yeah.
And you came together, which is more complex than just yin meeting yang.
Sure. Yeah.
At least in my mind.
I like that.
I like that too.
Thanks.
Well, we all have those sides in us, and I think that some people say the healthiest way to be is fully expressing your masculine and feminine, which we all carry. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And everything in between.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too with us because even with this whole pregnancy thing, like I was always like, I never want to have babies. I'm never gonna have a kid. Like I'm gonna get my tubes tied. Like I'm like I love kids and kids love me, but I don't want that. And then when we got together, like the first day that we got together, like he was just like, I'm gonna get you pregnant.
Oh damn.
Okay, hold on a second.
Wow. Let's hear more about that.
You've only been together for how long?
Well, we've been for I'm sorry, it's
it's August.
It's in August, September. Okay, so we've been together since December. So what, 10 months?
Yeah.
10 months, and you're 6 months pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right away.
Right away. So was that intentional?
Yeah,
on his
end.
part.
On
my
your
end, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny because same with me. I didn't, I had like this big tour planned. I was ready, I had just got signed to BMG and I had just released a new album and we're ready, and then like I've always known her. I mean, I met her 14 years ago, but we reconnected, 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been in love with her ever since. And what had occurred was that I didn't have the courage to confess my feelings to her for a very long time. Every time we would hang out, or there was encounters, or we were working together, I was just very professional. But inside, I wanted to just let her know how I felt. And I would, my bandmate, it's just two of us, and my band is just two of us. So it's not like a conventional band, it's just my partner and I. And then like he's like my best friend. So he knew that my feelings for her. And he would always say, hey, you need to say something. You complain so much about not being with her and not, but it's really your fault because she had started dating someone. And it got me really upset and almost threw my phone out the window. I was driving and I shouldn't be looking at my phone.
Busted.
I'm busted. Yeah. Well, hey, the light was red. And I pick up my phone and I see on Instagram that she's like dating some guy. And man, this fucking, I'm sorry. I don't like
I
to
speak
curse.
French.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just almost literally threw my phone out the window. And I just said these things out loud, and my bandmate was like, "It's all your fault, anyways." But she would, because you don't say anything. So what do you expect,
Yeah, he was always just like the perfect, sweet gentleman, and I'm like, oh, he's just so nice to me. Like, I wonder, like,
is he straight?
No. I just thought like I couldn't. I'm like, I don't think he likes me, And it wasn't until your bandmate had said,
yeah,
something.
my bandmate. So we had a show, and I invited her to come because we have a song together. So it was my bandmate was like, I'm gonna tell her how you feel if you don't. So I was gonna tell her that night, but he probably didn't believe that I would.
Yeah.
And
we were at sound check, and I was standing in between the two of you.
And he just jumped in and he just told her, hey, this guy's in love with you.
No, he actually said, hey, Kat, I have visions.
Oh yeah.
And whenever I have visions, they always come true. And I had a vision that you and Rafa were pregnant with a baby, and I was like. And I just like looked over at you, and you were just blushing, and I could see you through your nails, and you're just like, oh, no. and I just and I was like, wait, and that's when it dawned. I'm like, I think he likes me, and I'm like, and from seeing somebody as your friend, and then it changes everything, and I'm like, wow, like I didn't know that this was an option because I think if there's one thing that I can complain about you. It would be that I wish you would have, said something sooner. You'd have spared me.
Still super reserved after that.
Yeah,
because my bandmate.
I was the one who texted you afterwards.
And
I was
then
like,
after the show, she'd text me like, hey. And then finally I was like,
he introduced me as his baby's mama. This is prior to us ever being together. Like, which is kind of a funny thing. And then fast forward and now we're pregnant.
Yeah. So we're just making up for lost time. That's how I feel. I think that's why it's been I don't think it's moving. I don't think it's moving fast enough. But
Oh, it will. It goes fast.
But we've been, I've been in love with her for so long. like 14 years ago. But it's so funny, right? Like how life.
Which is so when we found out we were pregnant, I was, completely excited. It was awesome. And
how did you find out?
I remember
Dave, my bandmate, called us a prediction.
No. I was like late, and I was like, I'm gonna take a test, and so I took one, and then I came out, and you did the whole like elbow to knee, like yes, and I was just like, okay, well, I was supposed to be going on tour in July to release my album and go on a tour simultaneously, and then obviously I was like, can't do both.
Yeah, we put everything on ice.
Wow.
Yeah, and we sat down and just had like a real talk, about it, about what this looks like, and without knowing, because I had never thought about any of this stuff, like I never.
That's a weird third date talk to have.
No, we were already living with each other by then and everything.
Yeah.
And we were already married, and
we got married really quick.
Yeah, we got married. Well, I found out we were pregnant after we got married.
We got married in February.
Yeah,
February 21st.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah. See, he's the girl.
I'm the girl.
I love it.
I'm like, it's an our anniversary. What you gave me?
Well,
That's how I feel.
We'll see when you get to the
me.
first anniversary.
Yeah.
But then you had a wedding afterwards.
Yeah, and so it was funny because the wedding dress that we had originally been designing with our friends, it was like corseted, just so amazing, and I was like, oh no, I was already like 4 months, so like I was already starting to show a little bit. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting into a corseted anything, and so we had to redo the whole dress. But
is that the wedding? Because I saw on YouTube
with the red dress.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think so. Right? Is that
only one wedding? I've only been married once. Oh no, twice, but the first one doesn't count.
No, but it was more of a celebration.
Yeah.
No, it was a wedding ceremony. I had like a red dress with horns in my hair, and he had like this amazing. It was a epic proper wedding. Yeah. I mean, we just didn't have a priest or anything. We just exchanged our vows, and then I sang you a Nick Cave song at the end. And
what was the song? You made me cry too.
Into my arms.
Into my arms.
Into my arms. Oh
my
God! I was like, if she says it one more time, I'm just gonna lose.
I couldn't even get through the chorus. I was just like, there was like 3 verses, and I could only get through the first 2, which I don't ever get intimidated singing in front of people. But it was like the closer he would walk to me, it was like this physical, like feeling this physical energy that I was just like, oh man, this is the times when words really, really fucking mean something, and just took over. But I liked messing up like that for you, with you.
I could hear it in you,
yeah.
And I was just like, I couldn't keep it together.
Oh, thanks.
I was weepy.
Yeah.
Same thing happens to me at a birth. I'm at a birth, and everybody's afterwards so excited. I'm like, Dr. B, come for a picture. I'm like, oh.
Dude, it's so abstract to us because we've obviously been doing all this preparation for the birth, but the idea of giving birth and like seeing our baby is still, we don't even really want to entertain what it might be like, because it just feels like you can't describe or you can't imagine magic.
I'm nervous and excited.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happens to a lot of people.
What?
It's kind of out of body.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Like whatever happens there, though, I don't know, like you're fully present.
Yeah.
While it's happening.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
Right? When you give birth.
No, when you
I
witness
give birth, right after the baby came out of me.
No, I can second that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the further you get away from it, the more it changes.
Yeah.
So are you going to document it?
Yeah, we're going to document
photograph and video.
I don't know about photograph, but we want to videotape it. I mean, we're trying. We're aiming at a home birth in the water. Hopefully, we'll see. So we're right now currently trying to figure out like how do we get lighting inside, because I want to get like the actual
in the tub,
the crowning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It can all be worked out.
It's possible.
Yeah, but to us it was more just the idea of. I mean, we've documented everything, in the form of songs, in the form of video, in the form of whatever. I feel like.
Have you guys written a song for the baby yet?
No.
Are you going to?
I don't know. I still have so many songs to write about him first that I have in me. So, but it'll change. I think it'll be different when baby Leafar is here. Yeah.
Oh, is his name going to be Leafar? Is
Yeah.
that your stage name?
It's my stage name.
His name's Raphael. Leafar is Raphael backwards. Yeah.
Very cute.
Leafar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be his little reflection. Hopefully, oh my
reflection.
God, I hope he looks just like him. A little mini
I'm
you.
hoping it looks like you.
I bet it'll look like both of you. We are going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're 2 trimesters into your pregnancy, about 6 months. How's pregnancy been for you?
Too easy. It's crazy. I've had 0 nausea. Not one day I've never thrown up. Like I've had no food, weird food things, like no cravings.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Speaking of food, you guys are both vegan.
Yeah.
Like hardcore vegan.
Totally. So this is a plant-based vegan warrior baby.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is another reason why we want to be so open and share our experience, because I think people have a lot of misconceptions about vegans or just eating a plant-based diet, especially when you're pregnant. And there's so many amazing benefits. And so it's been, I don't know if that's part of what's attributing to this being so easy, but I think the first trimester I had like bad skin. I mean, I just normally don't have bad skin at all. And I just remember getting to the point that one time you're like, oh, baby, that looks bad. I was like,
honest.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't have your bandmate tell her.
I
I had a premonition and your skin was
That
all
you had a
bumpy
pimple
and
right
dry.
here.
But that was like about it, the only real symptom. And then now it's starting to be a little bit more uncomfortable to sleep. And but I think that's normal, right?
Yeah.
Like just finding spots, and then he's pushing down on my diaphragm, so I'm not able to sustain notes as long as I used to.
And you're singing?
Yeah, so I haven't been singing that much. I was singing to the baby the other day, though, some Concrete Blonde on the piano.
Oh.
That's nice. But
How about your body changing?
Yeah, that's the part I think I've had the hardest time with, is just, which I think a lot of people don't want to hear it, because I think a lot of women want to be like, I'm cool with like, stretch marks. I'm cool with my body changing. And like, to be honest, I thought I would be a lot cooler with it. But I'm struggling with like my weight gain. Like I know I'm healthy. I'm not like, in an unhealthy way, but I was expecting to not be as affected by it, like
Is it more how it feels or more how it looks?
Just being self-conscious.
Yeah.
I'm
That's how you
self-conscious. And a lot of it is, I don't care what people think about me. It's when I look in the mirror, I want to like what I see. And, I was working out 6 days a week prior to this pregnancy, and I was doing Barry's boot camp and like, pretty cut and then my body's really soft now, and it's okay. 'Cause I like having big boobs and a big booty. I've always had that.
I do too.
Yeah. but like I'm getting cellulite now, I have, and things like that I'm not used to. And like pants don't fit. Who's
that comfortable for? When you go put on your favorite clothing and it doesn't fit.
It's not even the favorite clothing. It's just because I can
Any
just
clothing,
change.
your
Yeah, any
usual
clothing.
clothing.
Yeah, and yeah. So certain things that like I've never been self-conscious about my arms, and I tend to be now a little bit. And it's not in a way to where I'm like I hate myself, but it's definitely where sometimes I question if my husband finds me attractive, and
I love you.
Yeah, and he always tells me I love your pregnant body and all this stuff, and which I believe him, but in my own mind it sometimes becomes a.
And that's where it's important, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
and so some days I feel, like prior to the pregnancy, I felt like a superhero every fucking day. I was like in my high heels and I like, I felt like this Amazonian superwoman. And like now I feel like, I don't know, I'm not used to like being in flats and like,
which superhuman to a goddess.
See, he's so amazing.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
and he means it, and so
He does mean it.
So it's more me. I'm getting in my own way of like, sometimes I just, I don't know. I see some pictures and stuff, like especially if paparazzi take photos of us and the fan clubs will post it. I'm like, oh my God, it's like the worst. Like, do I really look like that? And my husband is really skinny, and so that doesn't help because
The contrast?
Yes, like right now, like my boob is the size of his head.
Girl, wait till after the baby comes.
I know.
When they're full of milk, they will get bigger, but
Yes.
it goes back.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, as long as my husband like adores me, I'm fine. I just want to be able to look in the mirror and feel the same way. So that, and then
But do you look in the mirror unclothed and just because some of the things that
and
you're
clothed
saying,
both. I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying looking at your body unclothed, does part of it like appeal to you as like, wow?
yeah, the baby part, yeah, like my belly, I love it. I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing from the side. It's like so cool. Like I have the tattoo of this angel on my ribs, and the wing like spans across like the whole front, and it is so massively big now. Like, and it's just like, wow, this is so amazing. And also, he's starting to kick a lot and move, and we can see it, and it's like I just tear up, every time. It's more just like the rest of me that is like acclimating itself to support the big belly, I assume, It's just different, like
I think it's totally 100% fine to feel uncomfortable with the growth that you're having. You're
totally
not used to
and
it.
you know what, our yoga teacher, she'll be like I'll be like, fuck, I hate this right now, and she's like, don't say that about your body and stuff, and I'm like, no, but here's the deal, like, let me feel that, because it's okay to say, hey, like, you know what, I remember being able to hold a lunge pose totally easy. Now I physically have to move my belly, and
oh my God, it was like second grade for me.
and I'm like,
I remember
no.
that moment.
and I'm like heavy breathing, and like things are, I'm sweating talking to you right now, like things that were really easy before are, are tougher, and it's okay, because obviously
It's totally okay.
the
And you're
outcome is gonna
grateful
be
that your
awesome.
body can do this.
Yeah, but
you just don't like how it feels and how it looks to you.
and some days are easier than others, I think like.
But I sort of
that's
do picture like a really good photographer, like being able to put you into the right clothing and poses. I wonder.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that. I feel like I see that like where people
I
take.
want you to. But...
No, I just feel like silly. Like I don't know. I guess too because I do photo shoots so many times that I feel like I don't know. I definitely can't wait till the baby's here and then to do pictures with the baby. Like I really want to shoot a lot of photos of you and him and things like that. But
You don't want to do a maternity shoot.
You're not going to do that.
I'm
It's like
whimsical
cheesy to
maternity
you or
shot?
something.
it's a little bit cheesy to me. I mean, even baby
Have you
photos
seen
are
the ones underwater?
no.
There's a.
She's like,
I'm
tell me
gonna
more.
find this. There's. I
You're-
don't know his
you're
name.
in
He
a
doesn't
cage
do it
with
for a lot of people,
sharks.
but there's
Really?
a shark photographer
Oh my God.
who did for a couple of my friends these underwater maternity shots
Yeah.
that look freaking amazing.
awesome.
I'm gonna get you a
Okay.
picture and see.
Yeah.
Maybe we can change your mind. Then you can both be happy with your maternity body.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, yeah.
It is challenging. Why shouldn't it be challenging? You're not
I
used
think
to
it's
it.
normal. I think it's
Yeah.
really normal. And especially with you saying that you were so impeccable with how you took care of yourself,
Yeah.
like working out constantly, it's going to be a shock to see your body change.
Yeah,
like
totally.
that. It's a shock.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to feel like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's new.
Yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's totally normal.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it. I feel like I know that if I even say it out loud, it's going to make other girls feel better. Like, I haven't gotten any stretch marks yet, and that if I do, I'm like, I feel like, okay, cool. Like, actually, that I would be fine with because it's like a tattoo to me. I'd be like, okay,
That's
cool.
so
like,
funny.
like because this is a landmark in time.
Yeah.
But it's more just like the other stuff where it's like I like feeling like I can run or I can pick something up or I could. Like I get winded going upstairs sometimes, like getting out of the car.
Yeah.
Like,
After we had our first baby,
Yeah.
my wife insisted on getting pregnant again before I lost all the baby weight from the first one. It was horrible. That second pregnancy was the worst.
So hard on you.
But I love her, the girl, and my wife. So you went from like thinking you're never ever going to have kids, which would have been a travesty. The world needs more people like you guys.
Thanks.
And now you're under the care of midwives.
Yeah.
When did that decision
so
come into play?
Wow.
so when I first got pregnant, I had no idea about anything. So I was just like, well, we just got to get the best of the best. That's what we do. And so like I had my assistant help me find the best OBGYN, and we actually ended up going to two because the first one was such an awful experience. We went to like our appointment, and you were like, put into a waiting area with a bunch of other moms, which already makes me feel uneasy sometimes. Like, and then he had like a golf game on or something
Yeah.
while we had our consultation.
The doctor did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the volume was off, guys. Okay, just kidding.
Oh.
But seriously, like that
Oh,
right away,
no.
I was like, oh,
Yeah, he wasn't really paying attention, right?
yeah.
It was-
And then he had like an assistant do the ultrasound thing, and it was very like he muttered something under his breath and was like. And then afterwards, I couldn't, and then they said, you're really high risk because of your age. I'm 36 years old, like, or you're not really, but you're considered higher risk.
Yeah, advanced maternal age or geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah,
Those are the two
since you're,
things that they call it.
75.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, we left with not only a million questions, but just this
Scared.
sense of doom and fear. And so then we went to the second one. And that one, he was more tentative, but it was still, again, very rushed. Tons of paperwork that seemed unnecessary. Like, I don't know how many times I filled out my name. My name is so long. Catherine von Drakenberg, like, try to spell that.
The signature must be
Yeah, it's just,
time consuming.
I mean, it is so annoying.
There's my valley girl.
Where's my assistant?
Yeah, no. But my point being is that if it was completely impersonal, I was like talking to paperwork more than I was to the doctor, And so again, we left with a lot of questions, and it was more like, I remember his solution to my worries was, well, we'll just give you an ultrasound once a week.
Whoa.
And we were, and I was like, okay, well, we had read like, oh, well, there's no true conclusion whether that's bad or good for you. We were just felt so uneasy and just unresolved, So we happened to have a trip planned in New York for some press stuff, and I met up with my friend Candy Johnson, who's like, she's been a real good friend of mine for a long time, and she's like this famous YouTuber, and like she has 4 kids. And we met, she was there for a fashion week or something, and she goes, Kat, if you do anything, please watch this one documentary called The Business of Being Born. Because she had three hospital births, and then she said her last
First was at home?
her last one was at home. And
That's my parallel. My wife and I, we had 3 hospital births and the last one at home.
Yeah, and so she was like, man, if I would have known, I would have done all of them at home. Like, it was so amazing with a midwife. And I was like, what's a midwife? So I basically, that whole plane ride home, just did so much research. And then we, watched the documentary and everything, and then looked around in the LA area for a midwife. And then we found Sarah Howard, who was really in line with everything we loved.
Sarah's
Yeah,
awesome.
and she's actually who introduced me to you, Dr. Berlin.
Now I like her.
Yeah. and so we went, the minute we met Sarah, it was like, okay, let's get excited now. Like, it was like so much fun. After that, we were like, oh, this is really happening. This is how it's supposed to feel. It's not, I had canceled a trip to Australia because I was worried that like anything could happen. I might lose this baby at any moment, and just this really just operating on this track of fear.
Especially being over 100 like you are.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's interesting because they say you wait for an hour to meet with your OB for 5 minutes, and you wait for 5 minutes to meet with your midwife for an hour.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
yeah, it's
so
just
true.
true. They're very holistic. They look at things like from the outside in. Our first birth was at a hospital, and it was 42 hours and completely unmedicated except for 800 milligrams of Advil, which I kept taking every 4 hours for my ridiculous headache. I kept telling my wife, honey, you have no idea how painful this headache is.
Oh, no.
But it was all the doula. And we said forever, we had home birth at the hospital. We had home birth at the hospital. And then I went to a home birth for the first time as a body worker. And I came home, I'm like, we did not have home birth because a key element in home birth is not being at the hospital.
Yeah.
And so it's
the word home.
Yeah.
And so it's just a very different experience. It's not right for everybody. Some people love to be at a hospital. Some people love to be home. We have options all over the country now for both. But I felt the difference that you're talking about. And the more I would go as a doula, as a body worker at home birth, it was just a different kind of magic.
Totally.
That's powerful. I love that.
Yeah, and it's really in line with how we feel and like how we would want to have our experience. And, although Raphael wants to have 6 children, I've agreed.
Oh my goodness.
I've agreed to give him one.
I'm surprised you did it one at a time. I thought you just let's get twins right off the bat.
But with this one time, if we're going to do it, like this is, I want to be able to experience it this way. And, I was so grateful for Candy showing me that documentary, and in turn, I was grateful to Ricky Lake for even putting that together because, in a world where that is not the norm, we've already felt the heat from my own dad. My dad was a missionary doctor, like I mentioned. So in his mind, he's very accustomed to, if there's something wrong and there's a pill for it, or
surgery, or
it's like everything is medical, and so when I told him, hey, we've ditched the doctors and we're going with a midwife, I hadn't been yelled at like that since I was a kid, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he told me that was like the stupidest thing that I could have ever chosen, and I remember going, hey, Dad, you know what? I agree with how you feel, because I understand. I was there at one point, but I've done the research, and let me just show you what I'm talking about so that you can see where I'm coming from, and
But I will say this: he's coming from a place of love.
Of course,
yes.
like
he
any
just
parent,
wants the best for you, and he feels like, how could you not see? This is the best thing for you.
Yeah, and a lot of people who aren't informed might assume that it's like a very scary, very unsafe thing, whereas in reality, that's not necessarily the case. So it's taken a bit of time for my dad to warm up to it. And my dad loves me. He's so excited. This is his first, he's going to be a grandpa for the first time. So, and we're really super close. So it's like, I love that my dad is passionate about, loving me,
Yeah, he loves you so much.
Yeah.
He
So,
really does.
but we've been showing him some like videos on YouTube and stuff, because we're doing like
birth.
hypno babies and stuff. And
Nice.
so I was like, Dad, just watch this. Like, she's like fully dilated right now, and she's like having a conversation, It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be like torture or this negative thing,
Yeah, you saw her Breach documentary.
Yeah, which I loved.
And Sarah, she's pushing the baby out, and she's unmedicated.
Yeah.
She's at home. The baby's breech.
Yeah.
And she's just reaching down, feeling her baby coming out, and she's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And
So
people
good.
think that's like staged.
Yeah.
Or it's
No.
not. That's
How
how,
can you
her
stage
birth was.
that?
No.
You can't.
No.
Yeah, it's like that was the third take. You should have seen the first two. She was screaming.
I feel like you have prepared your whole life for this, though.
For sure.
Going against the grain.
Yeah.
And just really not caring what everybody else is doing or thinking,
Yeah.
or how, like, what is the
And
status quo way to be.
Yeah, it's not so much that I don't care, but I just think it's okay to question things, I think it's okay to say, hey, like, oh, that works for you, that's awesome, but that's not the only option I have.
Right.
Or maybe there's other things, and because I would never want to do something just in spite of people, but it's more like, hey, like, we have a different understanding of something, and it works for us, and we're actually really excited about it. And so
I think it's
cool.
actually
It's gonna
that
be
you
awesome.
do
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
That most people just go with the flow. Tell me
Yeah.
where to go. Lead me like a sheep.
Yeah.
You actually, ended up doing the research. You watched the movie and then did more research and interviewed
the
a
movie
midwife.
was like the tip of the iceberg. Then we've read almost like every book on midwifery and on everything. And then now, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be going with the Hypno Babies approach, which to the birthing, which we're really excited about, and that's really in line with how we see language and communication. I think we have
my hypnotherapist.
but
we're
we have
super
these
into
words, that we like tell ourselves, whether it's contraction or the word labor or whatever it is that gives you this idea of not fun, or just ouch, Bill, population me,
Yeah.
where it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. And we can deprogram that thinking, so
That's
it's exciting.
It's huge. I used Hypno Babies for my first.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And I was really afraid of pain. I had all
Mm-hmm.
this programming around, it's going to hurt. I'm not going to be able to do it. I
Yeah.
would stub my toe and it would be over. So I used Hypno Babies to sort of like get myself in a good
Sure.
place.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
That's awesome.
And
So cool.
I love to tell the story. People don't believe me when I say that it was a really peaceful birth. I was very calm, relaxed. My husband and I were in the bathtub, and I was probably about like 7 or 8 centimeters at this point. And my baby started to move down, and it kind of freaked me out. It was this really intense sensation. And I snapped out of my hypnosis, and I started panicking. Yeah. And my husband goes, peace. He just told me peace. He goes, use your switch.
Yeah.
And I did. And I went right back down. And I just remember slinking down into the tub, closing my eyes. It really works. And
what a beautiful
with the
bonding.
asterisk, oh my God, it was amazing. It was amazing. And it was so special on a lot of levels, but that he could do that for me.
Yeah.
You know?
That's actually
to
what
work
got me
in that
into
partnership.
Yeah. A friend of mine
was really special.
My friend Adele was like, hey, you got to look into this. She said that it was something that really, like, not brought her and her husband closer, but it was a bonding thing that they could do together.
Yeah.
And we both were like, oh, sign us up. Because
it's empowering for both of you. I think a lot of times partners are like, how do I help? What do I do?
Or they just feel the way.
Right?
Yeah. And, to do it together and to know that you have a tool to help her and that you're practicing together and bonding together.
And doing it together. Yeah. Yeah, that's
so
cool.
beautiful. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I should have done hypnosis before our first birth for my headache. My wife could have been like, peace, and baby, I love you so much. We do have 2 podcast episodes with Dr. Emiliano Shavira. One is on home birth versus hospital birth. So he's an OBGYN who very much supports the choice for home birth and the choice for hospital birth. And he kind of talks about some of the pros and cons of the two together for people who want to do more research. And the other one's on with him on advanced maternal age, pregnancy over 35. And, at the end of the day, he kind of talks about, well, you have to look at this, that, and the other thing, but pretty much it's the same thing, whether you're over 35 or under 35, unless you have other risk factors.
Sure.
We are going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Have either of you been to a live birth before? A human birth? Nothing? Were you?
I was present.
Yeah.
It was
You were young.
on a
it was a
hospital.
while back.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
And it was
amazing.
different though because it was in a hospital setting too. That
It was different on a million levels.
I did have that out-of-body experience that you spoke of.
For you while your child was being born.
Yeah.
or when you held her, you told me.
it
The
really,
whole thing.
Yeah.
It was healing. It was amazing. It really, I was in ecstasy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be amazing for you guys. So who is coming to the birth? Who are you going to have there, and what roles do they
Our
play?
mothers.
Well, we're definitely our midwife,
Sarah and her assistant.
And then we have our doula Jenny Silva, and then we have ourselves, and then
Eventually a baby.
yes, and then we're entertaining having our parents there, but not in the room.
Okay, in the home.
Yeah, possibly, or at the Roosevelt, which is like walking distance from our house.
Yeah.
Is that because they want to be there or because you want them
My
there?
mother wants to be there. My dad doesn't want to be in the way, but would love to be there. And your mother's the same.
Yes.
My thing is just I'm super sensitive. Like I can feel what people feel, and I don't want to be worried about like dad or mom's feelings if they get weirded out. Like, do you know what I mean? So to me, it's our
experience.
We have to like protect that. So yeah, we're. I mean, I don't have a problem saying no to anybody, but my mom is just really. I think again, it's her first time being a grandma, and she's just like
she wants to be there.
Yeah, and which is awesome because we haven't, been that close. We were estranged for about 7 years, and then we reconnected recently, and so to me, it's like it's been this really strangely bonding thing for us as well. Like it's brought us together and talking about her as my mom versus just her as this lady, and it's so I think if this journey is something that magnifies her ability to be closer to me, I think that's a beautiful thing. But I'd also just want to at an arm's length as well because I don't want to take on other people's emotions during that time because as I'm sure you'll tell me that in the moment of it like fuck everybody else, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
I think the Roosevelt is a good idea.
Yeah.
And they're a text away.
We're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
They're a text away. So
Yeah.
if you're like, oh, I feel like I could really use her right now, she can just come.
Yeah.
But like a staging area that's not within, especially if you're sensitive.
Yeah.
You're even more sensitive during labor.
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say hotel.
Yeah.
I've been to so many births where I even question, like, why am I here? And I would ask, because if somebody responds really well to body work,
Yeah.
right, or for one reason or another wants a male figure in the room, then it could be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I walk in and usually, there's a lot of parallels to a baby going into the body and baby coming out of the body. So conception and delivery are very similar. The anatomy and physiology are the same. The baby goes in and comes out the same street is the anatomy. And then the hormone oxytocin that makes your uterus contract and brings the baby down lower is the same hormone of love, bonding, and orgasm.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if you can set up conception night, like the greatest, most beautiful, mind-blowing conception, what would the setting be, right?
Yeah.
Who would be in the room? What would the lighting be like, the scents be like, the noises in the room be like?
Fine, we're having a free birth. Fuck this.
Sorry,
Mission
Sarah.
accomplished. Thank you very much for listening. Good night, everybody. So it's, so that's my point is like for a lot of people doing in the hospital, wearing an oversized unisex hospital room with bright lights on you and smells like germicide is not going to be a
Strangers
great conception.
coming in and out. I couldn't cope. Yeah.
And so at home, just so where they feel more comfortable perhaps conceiving, but then it's one step further. It's like, it's the same thing. Who's in the room with you at home? It's kind of like, and so I'm like, how does, when you're in the throes of labor, because that's my analogy, how does having the big, hairy Orthodox man Jew come in and start squeezing you make it better is only because I think the system is so broken in the first place, that setting is so crappy to begin with, that I actually come in and make it better somehow.
Yeah, but I also think you're downplaying too, like your energy, like the first, the first time we came to see you.
Energy.
Yeah, like I was just like, oh man, like this is, like there's just a connection. I'm like, I love this guy. Like I feel safe. I feel safe in your hands. And like, that's something that like, it transcends the system. It's just like, okay, that's good. Like, whereas, maybe my mom issues don't allow for that much of a safe relationship. You know what I mean?
So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whoever's in that room needs to be there, I think, because you really want them there.
Totally. Yeah.
And if you're neutral on it, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
I think it slows things down and it makes you less comfortable and not as smooth as it could be. I remember a birth distinctly that I went to. It was their second baby and it was a home birth as well. And her parents live a state or two over. And so when labor picked up and was more active, she called and she's like, hi guys, I'm in labor now.
Yeah.
Catch a flight. And by the time you come, I'll have the baby. Well, the flight was quicker and the labor was slower than she expected.
So
and they came
up.
in. And so there's the midwife assistant, husband, me, the doula and the mom, and then her parents walked in, and we're all in this living room together. And every time she's having a surge or a wave, it's intense and it's totally quiet, and everybody's looking at her. And so eventually she's like, honey, put on the effing television, because there's no distraction at all. And so he puts on the TV, and actually he put on Jackass was his choice. And at first I questioned that choice, but actually it was great. Everybody was diverted over there laughing. Nobody could care less that she's on the floor. But here's the thing about that birth. Her baby did not come until 11:40 p.m. at night, when everybody got tired and left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then it took 30 minutes, hopped up in the tub, and the baby came out.
Totally.
And so I think it's really, just when you're thinking about who's in the room around you, it's like, who do you really feel adds a positive value to the experience?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I mean, you go to a lot of births.
Totally. And just picking up on the vibe that you two have, and you're saying that you're like, we like to be home and together. It's like, play music that you love, turn the lights down low, the smells and anything that makes you guys feel like super intimate. Like that's the setting you want to create. I don't know if like having your mom right there and your mom right there.
Yeah.
And like it's like we're looking in each other's eyes, and that's the kind of
I tend to be extremely selfish with Raphael's attention as well. So, just naturally, like in a situation like that, it's like, this is ours. Like, we can't get robbed of this. And so, because he's so empathetic and caring for others, I can see him getting distracted by, making sure mom's got something to eat or something. It's like, she can figure it out, like, or
Yeah.
whatever. And I don't want to.
Yeah, I tend to try to be a good host.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's hard not to, right?
Yeah.
That's your personality. It's your
Yeah.
you
And
care about.
So that's
people
why I
around
answered
you.
that in that way of meaning, well, we're entertaining it, but we're
Yeah.
figuring it out
Yeah.
still.
No,
but,
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
have a
Thank you,
contingency,
Dr.
like
Berlin.
a backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because it's something that we've really been
Talking about.
a lot lately.
Yeah. I was going to say, don't tell your parents it was my idea, but here we are
I
on
know
the
it's too
podcast.
late.
Berlin said
Blame
you
it
were
on your
gonna comment.
doula.
Just don't give them my address. Let's talk about after your baby comes.
Yeah.
I mean, the birth is going to be what the birth is. You both seem really excited for it. You don't seem to be really afraid about
No,
it.
not at all.
It's very cool. I hope to interview on the other side
Yeah.
and kind of find out how that ride went for you guys.
Sure.
But after the baby comes out, there's parenting, right?
Yeah.
And you have interesting parenting backgrounds as
Yeah.
maybe your influences.
We're doing the opposite of our parents.
So a lot of people like to have a great example on how to be a parent from great parents that they loved, how they were parented to. A lot of people become great parents because they have great examples of what not to do as a parent.
Sure.
Do you have some of each, or how
I think we have
does it
some
work?
of both.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've actually been identifying that for the last 6 months since we found out. It's like looking back and seeing like what are things that we did love about our parents' upbringing, which there are a lot, and then what are things that really scarred us in a lot of ways, and then I think were unnecessary forms of suffering that because I think some level of suffering is good for character building. I'm totally down with that, but there's a lot of unnecessary for both. I think for everybody, and so we obviously want to avoid that stuff. But this might be a little bit off the topic of the answer, but for me, we've done all this studying, like building up to the birth, and then some parenting methods lightly, like that we've touched on preparing afterwards. But what was the most important to me is I love our relationship. We have such an awesome relationship. Like, Raphael's my best friend. We laugh so much. We have, our intimacy is amazing. Our bond is so amazing, and I don't want that to go away. And I know that things evolve,
So
but
it's us before the kid. No.
well, it's really built kind of in a way. I mean, there's no kid without us, so
Yeah.
it's like something that to me I've always felt like, hey, like I'm down to have this kid, but we can't sacrifice this, because I saw my parents do it, like went through that, like I think the idea of having kids was beautiful, and then I questioned maybe their preparation and how much of that put a strain on their own marriage. And I'm not saying it was our fault, because that's not how life works either, but so when, we first met you and then you told us about your wife and the work that she does, that was something that really interested me, and looking into the therapy side of preparing the transition from being happily married to happily parenting.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's
From
a
2
lot
to
of
3.
Yeah, most people, I mean, all my friends that I've told to that we've gone to see your wife, like, they're like, oh my God, I wish we would have thought of that, And for us, that's really crucial. Like, we know there's going to be some challenging times. And so how do we navigate, or how do we, at the end of the day, come out of this without hating each other, resenting the baby, resenting everything, And
It's not that simple. And so she for my wife is a perinatal psychologist. So she for years spent her career doing a lot of postnatal counseling, individual and couples. And after a while, you start to see the same patterns over and over again. You realize a lot of this could have been prevented with a little bit of work before the baby came. And so she created this program called the Afterbirth Plan, and she's really helped so many. I mean, she's really working herself out of a job, because the more people that put in the effort ahead of time, the less help they need on the other side.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool that you guys are putting that effort in, especially since you've had, like you said, some trouble in your child experiences with your own parents.
Sure.
And I assume most people do, but
Yeah.
yours may have gone a little bit above the average.
Yeah. Ours
think-
pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really much of a trouble kid. I would play practical jokes on people.
Yeah.
The only thing I think I could...
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I never pushed them too far. I think the closest I probably come to breaking law was that time I took 2 helpings of Sloppy Joe in my private school cafeteria. And I didn't even get caught, so there.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Do you have a parenting like philosophy or anything?
We've been reading a lot about like rye
attachment parenting. Right.
Yeah, and we really love that. I mean, that's
Love it.
Without even having read a lot of these books, we just really what's how we live anyhow.
Yeah.
And so we're when we were even looking for like night nurses and things like that for people, to build our team and helping. That was part of the requirements, just because, we want to be able to be on the same page with whoever's helping, which is another reason why we're more open to hiring out help and assistance versus asking our parents to, because I don't want to yell at my mom if she's doing something that I don't necessarily want. Like, I don't want baby talk too much, and I don't want like, to go to the baby right the minute they start crying, you can respectfully understand or let them, figure things out too. And so it's easier if we were to put a team together that is kind of in line with, how we want. So there's some consistency there.
Yeah.
And I felt a little bit guilty, I even was telling your wife in our session was like, hey, there's a little bit of shaming that happens sometimes when you hire help and things like that. But in my mind, I just think whatever it takes to be in the best place to be a good parent, like I'm down for that,
Totally.
So, yeah.
I think that whole shaming thing is ridiculous when you think about, there's a study that came out that said it takes 2.5 adults per child for everyone in the family to thrive. So, if you look at a single parent or two parents, so the kid's thriving, but the adults are often suffering. So
Totally.
for everybody in the family unit to thrive, to be happy, to be healthy, emotionally, mentally, you need 2.5 people per small human.
Totally. And I think that right now it's
it takes a village.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to think that people can do it on their own without support, without help. It's a lot.
We used to have the village.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And now we don't have the village anymore.
So yeah, we do kind of have to pay for it and get help.
All these careers have come up, like doula, childbirth educator, lactation consultant.
Yeah.
And Nicole just happens to do all of them.
Yeah.
Many of them. Not all,
many of
but
them.
many.
But you're still every year you got something else going on.
I do. I'm kind of addicted to learning and getting more things. I'm like, more.
So thankful for people like you. Seriously.
I love it.
How old does Leafar, would you say, have to be to get his first tattoo?
18. We've actually talked about this.
Like me, no.
No. I was like 18. We've talked about this because I was like, I think my feelings will be hurt if he gets tattooed by somebody else. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. And maybe he'll be the opposite and not want any, which would be super cool too. Because we love that too. So. But yeah, 18, of course.
He'll be like me.
Which is cool. You're the new rebel. Everybody's got him now.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I did it.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts from you guys?
I don't know. You? Any thoughts?
We covered
You
a
don't
couple
have
of my
to have
questions.
it. I mean,
I know.
we
I'm
did
trying to
cover a
think
lot
if
of stuff. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah.
I really am. I feel really blessed to have met you. Even just tonight, I really learned a lot. And there's a lot that I want to look inside myself and realize I'm only half kidding when I say that I want Raphael to hypnotize me. Because I think that would be so powerful.
That's so cool.
All right. Well, where can we find you guys online?
I mean, anywhere. You can just Google me. I'm not good at self-promoting, but I do want to say thanks for having us because
thank you, Dr.
because
Berlin.
we are really excited about this. Is our first interview that we've done around pregnancy. We've gotten a few like magazine offers and stuff, but they're
usually about music or
whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like this, I don't know, this to us was important and it was such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, we're grateful.
Yeah.
We learned so much too.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
It's very mutual.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. We'll keep following your story.
Thank you.
Nicole, thanks for being here. I always learn stuff when I'm around you.
So happy to be here.
And at home, thanks for listening to us. If you have any topic you'd like to hear about, just send your suggestions to info@informedpregnancy.com.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a whole